Klay Thompson leads a Mavericks beatdown in Beantown as the Mavericks get their best win of the season. We'll break it all down. Coming up next on the Dlls MAVS postgame show. Here we go. Hey, what's up, DLS Mavs Nation? It's your man, Kevin Gray, alongside Mavericks beat writer Tim Cato, Mavericks analyst Bobby Carell, and our national NBA insider, Mark Stein. We are DLS Mavs, your favorite guys covering your favorite team every single game night. Really appreciate you joining us here on DLS Sports as the Mavericks get the 127-120 win over the Boston Celtics, as the Mavericks end their road trip with a win as they get ready to come home to take on the Houston Rockets on Saturday afternoon. We'll break it all down here for you over the course of the next hour plus. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to DLLS Sports as the Mavericks improve to what is 27-25 on the season. 6 guys in double figures, 3 starters, 3 bench players, all scoring at least 15 points in a terrific win. Klay Thompson scoring 23 points in the first half to get things started for Dallas, gentlemen, as the Mavericks, after what has been a tumultuous week for this team, trades, the team looks completely different than what we thought they were going to be coming home on Saturday, but they find a way to get it done on the road in a big way against the defending champs.
Yeah, I mean, I think the big picture takeaway is that this team's offense can be very good, can be great. We've seen it in the stretch that they had, when Luka was absent, that everybody else who is on this roster is capable of nights like this, capable of all stepping up. You're not going to get, a 7 of 10 Spencer Dinwiddie night or a, 9 of 15, 20-point Najee Marshall night. You're not going to get that every night. But this is a really dangerous offense. This had been an offense capable of really, strong offensive outputs. It's still capable of that. It's an offense led by Kyrie Irving, and Kyrie Irving is that guy. He is that good, straight up. No excuses. He is a future Hall of Famer, and he is still a superstar. When he leads your offense, it can be awesome, and now they get to see what they add to it with the defense. Now, are there questions about how consistently they're going to be this level of offense? Yeah, we can go through that, but this is the offense they can be, and Anthony Davis and I guess eventually, Caleb Martin, these guys are coming in, and we'll see the defense that joins them.
They just beat the Celtics on the road. No Derek Lively, no PJ Washington, no Anthony Davis, and no Luka. Can I say it?
You can say it.
Can I say it?
You did anyway.
Mark, can I say it?
Whether you can or you can't.
Best win of the season? Best win of the season? What do we think?
Best win of the season.
What do we think? Let's get the vibes. Come on. They won. They beat the Celtics on the road. That was awesome. That was awesome. Dude.
This is one of their 27 best wins of the season.
No, this is one of their best wins of the season.
I'm saying they've had 27 best wins.
That's true.
This is the best of the 27.
All of their wins have felt like best wins of the season for sure. No, you're right, Tim, for sure. But, dude, Klay was playing so well in the first half. They started doubling him at midcourt. Like
we're doubling Klay Thompson in the year of our Lord 2025.
It was unbelievable. They got away with running prevent offense for almost 10 minutes in the fourth quarter.
Ooh.
What a win. It was awesome. That was awesome. And after such a very tumultuous week, much needed.
Yeah, this trip has been excruciatingly long. I think these guys have a semblance of a feel of what awaits them when they come home, but I think they're just as curious too. They have been on the road for all of this angst and all of this fallout and all of this heartbreak. So they were, if they were being honest with us, they would tell us there's no way they thought that a win was happening tonight with no AD. The decision was made. We saw AD at shoot around, but the decision was made. I reported it at some point this afternoon before the trade deadline buzzer sounded that the expectation was that AD's debut was coming Saturday in the home matinee against Houston, not at Boston Garden at the reigning champion. So as shorthanded as they were, now I can't even speak English anymore, as shorthanded as they were, as emotionally shell-shocked as this group is, I think they are too. Maybe not as much as us on the outside, but I think they are too. I mean, this is, it would be hard to argue the Corella straighter on this one. This is a win. And here's the other thing. At this point in the season, with what's going on in the Western Conference, every team is desperate for every win. The Phoenixes, the Golden States, anybody. You look at that range of the standings, and every team fits in there. It's a huge boost just for the psyche to find a way to win a game that nobody in that traveling party thought they were winning when they showed up tonight.
Can I own up to a couple things?
Sure.
One, I miss Caleb Martin and Dwight Powell. How could I forget about Dwight Powell, the longest tenured Mav? Chad is right. They called those out. And also Jaden Hardy, DNP-CD for the second game in a row. So the Mavs were even more shorthanded than I even laid out. Second, I think it was PB. PB, Bobby needs to issue some apologies after that rant earlier today. My guy killed Klay. PB, you were so right. I did say, Klay only sometimes takes 3 or 4 shots a game. I was like, what are you even doing here? And then he comes out tonight and completely sets the tone. Part of that is on Klay for being aggressive, but also, like Tim, you alluded to, the Mavs were just running a different kind of offense. Now, they were running Klay off some screens and off some dribble handoffs in the before Luka era. But tonight was the most kind of involved and focal pointy Klay was in the offense, and it worked great. I mean, he came out, he was moving well, he was getting good shots, and he was knocking them down, and they just kept riding that hot hand, and that led to double teams. So it was awesome. I mean, this was a version of Klay in a way that they use Klay that we just have not seen this season.
Yeah, 15 to 27 on mid-range shots outside of the paint.
It's a little spooky to me.
It's a lot. That is a enormously high number of shots.
That's some
from
90s basketball, baby.
It is some 90s basketball. They hit 15 of 27 from that range. That's one of the ways that you can go beat a really good defense, is that you just shoot from the places that, quite frankly, they're willing to let you shoot from. And not every night it's going to be this effective, because that's why teams let you shoot there. But at the same time, Dallas has the players who can make shots from that area. Klay Thompson, Najee Marshall. These are players who are, love operating in that space. Kyrie obviously loves operating in that space. Max Christie, we saw a little bit. So there are guys who, who can live in that kind of mid-range. And I think if you go back to the finals last year, and when you think about the team construction over the summer, a lot of it was spent trying to build a team that was more capable in those areas, a little bit more capable on their own. And that's still the bulk of this team. That's still the bulk of the players playing in this game. Certainly that's all true. I will note another 40 minutes from Kyrie tonight. Another.
The fourth quarter was just chilling, though. I'm not too worried about that.
Agreed. But that is the thing that this whole thing is going to hinge on, because if Kyrie's not able to do that, if Kyrie starts wearing down, I think I saw he was holding his back just for a second. I don't want to reach it. He obviously played and finished the game. Just do want to point that out. There is so much, probably too much riding on. Now, I mean, there's so much going to be asked of Kyrie from now until the end of the season, just to get the team, into the postseason. And then you've got, however long their postseason run goes ahead of them.
So numbers to stand out from tonight's game. The Mavericks shoot what was nearly 56% from the field. Also 32 assists, only 49 made field goals that they had tonight. The ball was moving and the ball was getting knocked down, especially from outside tonight. The Mavericks knocked down 15 three-pointers, shooting nearly 46% from downtown. A couple of guys that deserve big shout-outs tonight. Max Christie for the second straight game as a member of the Dallas Mavericks. A strong performance tonight, 6 of 13. He had 15 points, 6 big rebounds as well. And Daniel Gafford tonight didn't get the double-double, but still 8 points, 15 rebounds, 5 assists, and 2 blocks in this game. By the way, his 2 blocks set a now Mavericks record, his 23rd consecutive game with at least a block. So congratulations to Daniel Gafford making some history for the Dallas Mavericks. And how about Dante Exum tonight as well? 15 points, going 5 of 8 from the field in nearly 20 minutes as a starter. A plus 29 for this team as far as Exum is concerned. So give him a lot of credit. There was a lot of guys that contributed, 6 guys in double figures for this game, and they needed that kind of balance to be able to get it done against, obviously, the reigning NBA champion Boston Celtics.
Do we have to run that super chat?
We don't.
GM Ben is trying to
on.
get us destroyed. GM Ben, we cannot have chat turn against us.
But we do appreciate.
We can't do it.
But
Chat's all over the place. A lot of perspectives represented in chat tonight, from what I've seen.
But we do appreciate the $1.99 super chat. I think
GM Ben, we appreciate everything
Yeah,
that
we
happened
do.
at the watch party tonight.
Yeah.
We'll talk more about that later too.
I think
About the watch party.
About the watch party, yeah.
I think to your point,
And
Tim,
how much
very
we
cur-
appreciate
I'm-
Ben.
Seriously, I am very curious to hear some play-by-play from the watch
Oh, it was
party.
awesome.
oh yeah, we'll definitely get to that through
I
the
need
course
some
of the show.
scene. I need some scene setting, fan reaction. Yeah, so I hope you guys took good notes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. It's pictures, videos, all kinds of
y'all
stuff.
did.
Friendship bracelets. You'll get one of those a little bit later on in the show as well. To your point, Tim, real quick. I mean, I think there are some mixed emotions. Obviously, you want to win every time you step out onto the floor. But under what the curtain has been over the last several days, when it comes to what this team has gone through, they needed this win on their way home to Dallas for the game on Saturday against the Houston Rockets, because the vibes that would have been in place had they lost tonight's game after everything that they had been through, it would have made Saturday that much more awkward, as it's already going to be with the vibes coming into that game. So you would much rather come into that game on Saturday with a win, ending with their season-long 5-game road trip on a high note versus what could have been had they fallen to Boston tonight.
Yeah, I mean, I think the vibes are still going to be really weird, and I think, I mean, even as Mark said, maybe the team's even curious about how that's going to go. I imagine it's a little bit better, knowing you got the win inside that locker room. Of course it is. It's always better when you win, but man, yeah.
What the guys need, I mean, what the players that are still on the Mavs, right? What those players need, what those guys need. I don't care about the coaching staff. I don't care about the front office. I care about Luka, but I'm removing Luka and Maxey. Like, I'm removing everything. What the players that wear Dallas Mavericks jerseys during Dallas Mavericks basketball games need is a reason to believe that they are still really good, that they have the faith of their general manager, who did not make any more trades today. So they have a roster of 14 players and 3 two-way guys. Almost half of the 14 guys are hurt right now. Like, they played Kessler Edwards a ton of minutes. Like, this
He
is a
started
really,
again tonight.
really
Yeah.
banged up team, and they're this close to the All-Star break. But the big man they just traded for is coming back, and then the wing that they got the other day should be coming back, hopefully, around the time the All-Star break ends, and they're back in action. Help is on the way.
57 points tonight from Dinwiddie, Christie, and the Knife.
The bench stepped
Best
up.
win of the season.
Christie Nation, we are growing so powerful. I'm telling you, so powerful.
Mavericks win 127-120 on the road over the Boston Celtics as they get ready to take on the Rockets on Saturday. Let's take our first break here on the Dlls Mavs postgame show. When we come back, what the turning point was in this game, Klay Thompson, and a little bit later on, our visit at Cosm tonight. We had a chance to hang out with our diehards to be able to watch the Mavericks take on the Celtics, and we'll dial up the Stein line, our national NBA insider Mark Stein, live in studio with us here on the postgame show. All that and more coming up next here on the Dlls Mavs postgame show.
But first, I've got the perfect gift for the passionate sports fan in your life. Perhaps you've heard of Ice Shaker. Ice Shaker is now officially licensed with the NFL, NHL, NBA, NCAA, and MLB, and will make the ideal gift for any occasion. Created and used by the Gronkowski brothers, Ice Shakers have sold over 1 million bottles. They've changed the game with workout bottles, and this is the one you've been looking for. You can go to iceshaker.com, and if you use promo code ALLCITY25 at checkout, you can save 25% on your order. They're customizable. You can send them your logo or check out their custom shop to customize your favorite bottle. You can turn around. The turnaround time on those custom bottles is 3 to 5 business days, so they take care of you very quickly. And the agitator Works as a strainer as well and makes it a very solid tailgating cup to mix drinks if you're into that. Order your team branded bottles today at iceshaker.com and use the code ALLCITY25 for 25% off your order. Ice Shakers, show your support for your teams with the best branded workout bottles on the market. Ice Shakers.
It's time to put your ball knowledge to the test with Sleeper, the best fantasy league platform out there, by putting your knowledge to the test, by picking whether your favorite or least favorite players will have more or less than their projected stats each week. If you took Max Christie to have at least 15 points tonight, you were a winner on Sleeper. With Sleeper, the more picks you combine, the more you can win, all the way up to 100 times your money. With Sleeper, you can keep you in the loop with instant alerts for breaking news and major injuries as well, so you can stay ahead of the game and keep track of league updates in real time, so you're always informed and ready to outsmart your friends. So if you think you have what it takes, new users can download the Sleeper app and use code DLSMAVS to get $55 in free entries when you place a $5 contest, like our boy Bobby Carella. Apply it to any
a whole
contest.
other hand of fives.
That's
KG.
right. That's right. It doesn't have to be your first contest either. Remember, terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Currently operational in over 25 states, so make sure you check out Sleeper today. Mavericks handle business in a beatdown in Beantown. Yes, I know Boston tried to make it close in the fourth quarter, but the Mavericks were able to handle their business down the stretch to get the 127-120 win over the Celtics to finish up their season-long 5-game road trip at 2-3. Big nights from Klay Thompson with 23 points in the first half paced the Mavericks to get it done. That gets us to, before we get to our turning point of the game, let's get to our next super chat that we have. What happened? We already acknowledged that. We acknowledged that. We acknowledge you, GM Ben. From who? Mac Jones, $2 super chat. Reggie Miller called Max a gym. Pay attention, folks. Shout out to the 21-year-old Max Christie. He's a player.
No fear.
And I'm glad you said that, Bobby, because I think in a lot of ways tonight's game, I liked the way that the Mavericks, they played with pace. I thought they played with purpose. But also they were not afraid to take shots. And I thought Dante Exum was a terrific example of that. We know at times in his career at the Mavericks, he has shied away from taking three-pointers. My man was not ready to let it fly tonight. And he did so with some confidence to get him to what was a plus 29 in the time that he was out on the floor. But as we look at the turning point of tonight's game, Klay Thompson, give him credit. He got the Mavericks off to a flying start. A terrific first quarter, which continued into the second quarter. In fact, Thompson scored the first 8 points of the second quarter. Overall, the Mavericks started that second quarter on a 10-2 run to extend their lead to 42-25 with just under 10 minutes left in the first half, I should say. They were able to maintain that 17-point lead with 2.5 minutes left in the first half. But Klay Thompson, his shooting, his aggressiveness, whether it be coming off screens, knocking down shots, I thought for him to be able to see the ball go in a few times, especially in that first quarter, once that confidence started to flow, it permeated to his teammates, and give Thompson the credit for being the veteran guy to be able to get them started, especially early on offensively in this game.
And a lot of those assists were coming from Dante Exum. He only played, 20 minutes? He had 5 assists. And we bemoaned a lot of Dinwiddie minutes late in games earlier in the season and even recently whenever he's out there with Kyrie, and we're thinking, why aren't you going with a different guy? Why aren't you going with a shooter or with a more defensive-minded player? Why are you going with this ball handler? And we kind of learned over time, J-Kid really values using Kyrie as the off guard, as the off-ball guy. And you obviously have a lot of off-ball stuff going on with Klay. A player like Dante allows Klay to run off all these screens. Kyrie caught that pass and coming around that screen and turned 1-2 into the 3 without a dribble or anything. It was beautiful stuff. The Mavs are running stuff away from the ball, and compared to, we have to do it. So it's time to face it head on. Compared to generally a spread high pick and roll offense that you would run with Luka and Kyrie, the Mavs seem to be going, since the time Luka got hurt, now after the trade, and certainly now that they're going to have AD who's a high post player, they're going to run a lot more elbow stuff, dribble handoffs, curls. You're more classic basketball play action stuff. And you need that table setting guard to do a lot of that. Klay can't run off screens unless, first off, you have guys setting screens for them. Secondly, there's a guy that can get him the ball. And so it seems like whether that's Dante or Dinwiddie, maybe it's even Najee at some point. Eventually, Kyrie will do some of that as well. But like they want Kyrie running off screens too. Like there are guys on the team that are going to be quarterbacking those sets to get Klay looks. That seems like it's going to be a pretty big part of the offense moving forward.
I mean, someone with the staff joked to me this week that with AD coming in now, like it's going to be the 5th, 6th, 7th offense of the season. I mean, they've had to change the approach so many different times because of all the injuries, the availability issues. But yeah, it's going to really be interesting. First of all, there's no practice time once you get to this point in the season. And, AD will play, assuming he can come back Saturday and play there's only 4 games before the break once they get back. So it's like play a few games, then this team takes another long break.
Practice, maybe.
Now, they will get a couple practices. I mean, I guess it is fortunate. They have a Friday start after the All-Star break. So at least that should give them one extra real practice than teams playing on Thursday would get. And so they desperately need that. But yeah, I mean, it's like, come home, rush through 4 games, All-Star break, get a couple sessions in, and then try to make a second half run, try to find some chemistry and cohesion, because obviously they're going to be doing this on the fly. But look, I think, Klay Thompson is motivated. Anthony Davis obviously will be. Anthony Davis introductory press conference tomorrow. Yeah, I mean, Saturday can't get here soon enough to just see what it looks like
for a number of reasons.
watching Dante Exum and remembering how good he is. Oh, and make no mistake, I never forgot. But watching him and remembering him, you really do think how differently this team's record might look. Like several more wins and maybe they'd be 7-8 games over 500 right now. Like they missed Exum so much throughout the various absences that they've had, and some of those winnable games that turned into losses, man. Yeah, that's a difference maker right there.
How about when Dante was on the floor tonight? 21 assists, 3 turnovers. The Mavs. That is a whole lot of stability. Kyrie sometimes is even a little not loose with the handles, obviously, but like with the complex passes and stuff. Dante can't do the same kind of things that Kyrie or even Dinwiddie can do with the ball in terms of creating his own shot, creating space, getting into the lane, finishing around the rim. But what he can do is make complex reads and make decisions. And if you can do that to the tune of a team-wide 7-to-1 assist ratio, it's not going to happen again. But that's why they won. They did not turn the ball over.
Let me ask you guys though this, and I want to ask this, pose this to the chat as well. When it started slipping away late, when they cut it to 9-ish. We know that this team has lost a lead or 2 this season. How worried were you?
Not.
I wasn't concerned. I mean, the Celtics had waved the white flag with 9.5 minutes left in the game. Like if those guys, if the backups for the Celtics made that comeback to win that game, they deserve to win that game then. But
it was almost impossible time.
Yeah.
If you just run the prevent offense and don't even shoot, it was almost impossible.
It was a fake. I mean, it wasn't even a fake comeback. I mean, it was very clearly what Boston was doing then the stretch was making sure that Peyton Pritchard is going to win the 6th-man award. That's important. You got to get those stats up, baby. You're not winning if your points per game is not 15 or better. So good job. Well executed fourth quarter from Boston.
Right.
No concern about the result of the game.
They went on a 14-0 run and things got kind of,
It felt nervier.
A little nervy.
I think it felt nervier than you guys are all saying.
When it got
I really wasn't that worried, to be honest. I really wasn't that
some
worried.
other stuff going on. I wasn't fully locked in.
It got down to 10 at
Especially-
120.
Not locked in. Tim, this is the playoff push.
Playoff push starts after All-Star break.
It got down to 122 to
long
112,
week.
but
Got a lot going on.
It didn't feel like it was too much of a threat. Shout out to Najee Marshall, who hit some big shots in this game as well.
The knife.
That's right, the knife. Went 9 of 15 from the field. I was waiting for it. By the way, that first half, Klay Thompson with the 23 points at the end of the first half. Strong first half of the Dallas Mavericks, who led by 11 at halftime, 67 to 56. Some of the numbers that really indicated, you talked about Dante Exum, how effective he was in this game tonight. First half, the Mavericks bench outscored the Boston Celtics bench 27-6 in that first half. The Mavericks also outscored the Celtics 19-5 in the fast break point department as well. And most importantly, the Mavericks only had 2 turnovers in the first half, which is the fewest amount of turnovers that they've had in a first half all season. So when you're protecting the ball and you're sharing it and you're knocking down shots, that's a recipe for winning basketball. And the Mavericks were able to do that, scoring 12 points off of 8 Celtics turnovers in that first half. I bring those up because it really kind of set the tone for the way that the game started to look, and Klay Thompson was a big part of that. They used 10-2 runs at the beginning of the second and third quarter to push what was up to a 17-point lead, and then in the third quarter up to what was a 19-point lead when that came with 9.5 minutes left in the third, which was their biggest lead at that particular point. They even ran a successful out-of-bounds play for a Max Christie dunk at the end of the third quarter. So all things were just pretty much clicking on all cylinders tonight for the Mavericks based off of what they were doing offensively and what they were able to do enough defensively tonight to get it done.
And here's the challenge. Here's the challenge. So 5 of their 8 highest turnover percentage games. So the games where they have turned it over the most often, 5 of those 8 have come since Christmas Day. Christmas Day was the day that Luka got hurt, and then Kyrie missed some games as well. So it was without Luka and Kai, and then Kai came back, and everything was kind of weird. 5 of their worst 8 turnover games all year have come since then. Tonight, turnovers were not really an issue, which is really nice, and it's been pretty rare because 3 of their lowest 10 turnover rate games have come since Christmas. So only 3 of their lowest 10 all season. And that's like basically essentially the halfway point of the season in terms of number of games played. So it's been a lot of turnovers lately, and there haven't been many super clean games, but tonight was one of them. And, you know, it's probably no surprise that Exum was in there. And hopefully that is a harbinger of things to come because ball security matters a whole heck of a lot.
And that's been one of the stories for this team all season long, regardless of who has been in and out of the lineup. Turnovers has been an issue for this team. So to play as clean of a game as they did against as good of a defensive team as the Boston Celtics are, give the Mavericks a lot of credit for valuing the basketball and sharing it, but most importantly, being able to knock down shots off of those passes to really put pressure on Boston tonight and even keep up in the three-point department as well. As we mentioned during the pregame, the Mavericks getting up the necessary shots from downtown, but also limiting some of the three-point shooting of the Celtics. So a terrific game all around for this team to get a win that they needed desperately coming back home on Saturday. Shout out to the over 600 folks watching us live on the post-game show right
Eighth
here.
in the West. 2 games out of 6th.
Here we come.
You know, it was funny last night. So the Mavericks didn't play at all. They entered last night 11th in the West. By the time the night ended, they were 8th in the West without having to play a single game.
Tape started circulating at Max Christie's debut, and teams like it's over, guys.
And again, you can't say.
Did you guys see Oscar in the chat saying he's buying a Christie jersey?
Let's go, dude.
Shout out to the 00 Christie jersey. Again, can't sing his praises enough. 2 games, 2 very strong performances for him coming off the bench. I saw
He's 21 under control. I'm not trading that guy. I'm just not doing it.
Yeah, he gives you a lot on both ends of the floor. I saw someone in the chat saying that maybe he should be starting for the Dallas Mavericks. Let's just see how it plays out. But Max Christie off to a tremendous start for the Mavericks as they get the 7-point win.
First year of a 4-year contract.
Yeah.
And he's only making like $7.5–8 million a year. Granted, the last year's a player option. Probably he's going to opt out if he's this good all the time, but you get him at 7.5 for the next 3 years. Hey, that is super good value.
An up-and-coming player for
This was a powerful win because the positivity coming out of you tonight is...
I've been bottling it up. I'm tired of being sad.
You've already exceeded the over-under, and we're only 2 segments.
I'm tired of being sad. I'm tired of being mad. I am really intrigued by Max. He's 21, and he's fearless, and he's skilled. Like, that's just really, really exciting to me.
Coming up next here on the DLS Mavs post-game show, we had a chance to visit Cosm and hang out with our diehards tonight as we watched the Mavericks beat up on the Boston Celtics. And a little bit later on, we will dial up the Stein line with our national NBA insider, Mark Stein, as the NBA trade deadline has come to a close. All that and more coming up next year on the DLS Mavs post-game show.
Started by 2 college friends, Saturday Neon makes officially licensed collegiate logo signs. Perfect for your home, office, dorm room, fan cave, or bar. Unlike traditional neon, these LED signs won't break or shatter, but they still give you that classic uniform glow that you know and love. The LEDs last up to 100,000 hours, so you'll be enjoying your signs for years to come. They're also super easy to install, and they have their new Essentials collection features almost 50 of the biggest schools across the country. They got Texas A&M, Texas Tech, Oklahoma State, and many, many more. It's the perfect gift for whenever and whatever. They fit on any wall. We need to get one like for the studio somewhere.
We should.
Yeah.
UTD one.
We need a DLLS one. Yeah, a custom Saturday Neon. So head over to SaturdayNeon.com and use code DLLS for 10% off your newest favorite sign.
Let me talk to you about Rugged Road. Rugged Road is dedicating to creating innovative and durable outdoor gear for adventurers who demand the best. Our products are designed with the highest quality materials and craftsmanship, ensuring they perform in the toughest conditions, whether you're on land or water. Rugged Road gear is built to accompany you on every adventure. I've got a Rugged Road cooler right here next to me. You can hear how durable and dependable it is, crafted to handle the toughest conditions and environments. Their coolers are built to last, ensuring they keep up with any adventure. The coolers are guaranteed to keep their contents cool for up to 7 days as well, but oftentimes much longer than that. They're versatile as well, perfect for a variety of outdoor activities, including tubing, camping, fishing, and tailgating. These coolers are designed to meet the needs of every outdoor or sports enthusiast. So gear up for your next adventure with Rugged Road coolers. They're reliable, durable, and built to be used. Rugged Road is your ultimate outdoor companion. Head to ruggedroadoutdoors.com and use code DLLS for 10% off. Again, ruggedroadoutdoors.com. Use code DLLS for 10% off today. Shout out to the Mavericks getting the win tonight over the Boston Celtics, 127-120, as they are able to finish up 2-3 on their road trip. They get ready to come home to take on the Houston Rockets on Saturday. We'll get to our visit at Cosm tonight, and shout out to our diehards who are hanging out with us, and also our Cowboys beat writer, the second greatest Cowboys beat writer in the history of the Cowboys. Tell him something, Joe.
He's going to tell a horse something pretty soon.
Joe Hoyt, where he says, quote, he's going to be interviewing a horse. I'm going to ask a horse if I should order another 45-ounce IPA from Bourbon. Hey, yo, Joe.
That's a big, like, chalice.
Yeah, but maybe it's like one of those like easy drinking IPAs. It's like only like 4%.
I don't even know what that means.
Him and Chill have been out there cooking, him and and then Jeff Kavanaugh as well. By the way,
ask the horse what he thinks of Max Christie.
Let me tell you something real quick. This win is for John Anderson, by the way. Your Celtics took that ass whooping tonight. Take that with you while you're down there on Bourbon Street.
I don't know who that is.
Stars
The
producer.
producer
What
for
are
the
you
Star
talking
Show?
about, dude?
I still don't know.
Oh,
who that is.
Oh, okay. I was like, damn.
I should have yes-ended that.
You just not going to just recognize your own teammate?
We got a Najee tweet. He says, I always make up for it. That's why we love the knife.
He is a fantastic follower.
That's why we love the knife.
He's a fantastic follower.
He was tweeting after the last game like, my bad, Max was wide open in the corner on the second to last offensive possession where they drove and he drove and missed. Yeah.
It was wide open.
It feels so good to laugh and not be angry or sad. Shout out to you, Bobby, for pointing that out.
It feels so good to be out of the house for the first
Yeah, we're
time.
gonna get to what your last 4 or 5 days have been like here in just a little bit. Let's get to that $5 super chat real quick. Tanner's been broken. Okay. From Dave. Jeez, now Tanner's breaking me.
Is it a Dirk tweet?
No, it's the picture of Joe drinking beer.
Oh, my
okay.
God.
David with the $5 super chat. When is Lively returning? Earliest?
Ooh.
I mean, here's the reality. There's no firm timetable on it. The only timetable that was announced was that he will be reevaluated in a month. So that's,
When would that be?
The injury was January 22, 23. So it's a month from that. We will hopefully then get a firmer timeline on how soon his return is. But, I mean, look, with everything this team and now this fan base has been through this season, I'm taking the longer route on the Derek. Like, if they say it's 4 more weeks after that, make it 6. If it's 6, make it be careful with this young man. He's had there have been enough injuries. They don't need to be rushing Lively back. I mean, this season has already been a roller coaster to say the least. So, hopefully in a month we will, or hopefully by February 23rd-ish, we'll have a clearer picture, but it's just too soon to say, David.
I give Daniel Gafford a lot of credit, too. He's been playing extremely well over the last few weeks here, holding things down at the center position now with Anthony Davis a part of this group as well, and hopefully him making his debut on Saturday, that this front court can continue to get a little bit more stabilized as they await the return of Derek Lively II. We had a lot of fun tonight. We started our postgame show a little bit later than normal. That's because we were racing back here to our studios from our time at Cosm tonight with our fellow diehards. Shout out to a few of them. Diehard Sarah, who provided us with our friendship bracelets. You may not be able to see him too clearly here, but shout out to her for providing those friendship
mine.
bracelets.
We're
we
gonna
got
give
Mark
Stein
Stein's.
his after the show.
Yeah, we'll get his after the show. Hung out with Ben as well.
Sarah in chat or not yet?
Sarah's in chat.
Sarah's in the chat. Shout out to
checking,
Sarah.
just checking.
That's a real one. Hung out with us, now watching the show as well. So if you've never been to Cosm, it is an immersive sports viewing experience where you're able to watch whether it be the NBA, UFC, as I did on Saturday, the WWE. Just tremendous sporting viewing venue. And for these gentlemen, the first time to be able to experience Cosm tonight.
I'm not gonna lie, dude. I was a little worried about not being able to see parts of the floor or something, like just not feeling the whole thing. But what was really cool, honestly, is like a lot of the game you're watching from behind the basket. So like from the end zone, basically the basketball from the baseline, and from that perspective, with the camera zoomed in the way it is, you can see like players' facial expressions and what they're doing with their eyes during the game, which is just really cool because I'm used to watching games either on TV or in the press box or from like a weird angle or super high up or whatever. So you get to see the game in a totally different experience. Like I can only imagine watching a guy that's like, making real fancy no-look passes and stuff. It's probably gonna like.
How about though when they bring the court side, and you see the guy dribbling the ball
Up the floor.
Oh, yeah.
you literally feel like you are just you can reach out and just.
And the shot is wide too, and it stays. There's no cuts, right? So like after a bucket or during like the ball goes out of bounds, so guys are walking back up the court. You can see like an assistant coach pull a guy and say like, hey, give him some instruction, and then you can like watch to see what he changes the next time. Like it's a totally different experience than anything I've ever seen before.
One of the funny moments of watching the game is that for some of the different camera angles, Klay Thompson had made a nice pass, I believe, to Gafford for a bucket, and you just see Klay Thompson running back up the floor doing this. As he's celebrating.
Dude, Klay is a big-time selly guy.
He is. He really is. But to see him having fun and you seeing that for the particular camera angle was great. Yes, GM Ben, you were there too. Shout out to you for hanging out with us. Ben is.
Were there a lot of Celtics fans, or was it all Mavs fans?
There were a few.
There were a few Celtics fans, but it was definitely mostly Mavericks fans in the building.
So I've been there for soccer, one soccer game and one NBA game. But when you're there, and I'm sure you guys saw it, they run a reel full of highlights of other sports. Combat sports look like they really pop. So how was WWE?
It was incredible. I mean, the entrances for the superstars walking out, it feels like you're right there. When the crowd shots were there facing the ring, you felt like you were actually in the crowd as well. And they even had cameras in the ring as well. So you felt like the WWE superstars are coming right at you, no matter where you were, where you're sitting. So it's it's basically like sports in IMAX, but on steroids. Like, it's kind of crazy. The viewing angles and the cameras that they have in place to be able to give you that kind of experience.
Are we gonna have to bar him from this chat with these comments?
Who, Ben?
Yeah, GM Ben is on. GM Ben is on one.
Ben is lying.
GM Ben is on one tonight.
So I didn't say let's go, Nico. I said hire Nico. As a joke.
You're right.
As a joke,
Yes.
as the final buzzer sounded, don't jump me. I love Luka just as much, probably more than a lot of people in the chat.
Yeah, I mean, and you mentioned earlier, man, like the amount of anger and vitriol and sadness and all the words that you want to use to describe what the last several days have been, it's exhausting. It has been exhausting.
I still feel that way.
And still feel that way. Trades still don't make no damn sense, but at the same time, like, you got to continue with this season, and that's not to set aside anyone's feelings about how they feel about Luka and how things have gone down. But as this team has continued to try to move forward, we obviously have got to try to do the same as well, no matter how we may feel about the trade. So as we bear with you on how you feel, do the same with us.
So the way they
I
were
will say-
because they were playing so well, were people hyped, or was there less? Was it a more muted reaction to?
In the second half, it was pretty loud.
Yeah.
I think at the beginning of the game, everyone was just kind of like, oh, that's cute. They're making some shots.
Mm-hmm.
But in the second half, I mean, it was,
Was Cato not invited?
he was doing reporting or whatever,
I was busy.
working, doing his job.
Yeah, I couldn't make it out. I do think it's. I get it. This is the same team, plus Christie, who is taking Quentin Grimes' place that Dallas has had the entire season. Exum being back is a huge addition. I am very excited to see how Anthony, just to be an analyst and try to understand the changes that a new team is about to make with Anthony Davis, and then Caleb Martin to an extent, but obviously AD is the huge addition. It's always exciting to have a team that I'm so have such an understanding of from watching them every single game and see how they change. This is not the new era starting. This was the same team we've been watching for a month and a half. We've also seen this team beat Oklahoma City without Shea and then with Shea. I'm excited to see the actual new era start on Saturday. And I think if this win does show anything, it's not that, it's that the locker room is not going to crumble and fall apart. That's what it shows. But it does not show that, oh my God, this team is all of a sudden, so much different. We saw this happen, and this was the same squad.
But like I said pregame, KG, I didn't really care coming into this game. I'm going to be honest. I was kind of resigned. I figured the Mavs were probably going to lose. But I said I didn't really care if they win or lose. All I care about is do they have the fight? Do they have the juice? Do they have can they muster up the energy and all of the the self-belief you need to hang with the team that's really, really good in their home gym at the end of a 5-game road trip? Whenever you're coming home to what you believe is going to be a home game full of booze, oh my God.
It was empty.
Okay. I think it is. It's empty now.
It totally knocked that
and
out.
they did. They came out with energy, and they finished with energy. I think that the team believes that I think the Mavs believe that they're good.
Yeah, and I think that's been a sentiment for this team all year, regardless who's been on the floor. I mean, we've heard P.J. Washington say he wasn't playing tonight, but to that same sentiment, this team believes that they are a good basketball team. And when things have not gone well, when they've gone well, inconsistency at times, there is a good team in there somewhere. It looks very different than it did when we thought, or what we thought it was going to look like coming out of the All-Star break. But at the same time, these guys are going to play with pride. They're getting paid a lot of money to play a kid's game, and they're going to get out there and do the best that they can. And they put together a game tonight they deserve to win tonight's game.
And for the record, I am standing by the concerns I have for this team and its roster construction as it stands right now. I'm just absolutely standing by them. Great win, and good for them, and good for them.
Yeah, good for them.
Great win for them. I still think that Kyrie as the main ball handler, the fact that there is not a 1.5 type creator, or not somebody at Kyrie's level, but a half step down from him. Instead, it's Kyrie and a bunch of players not firmly a step down from him. That's concerning, especially given how much Kyrie is just going to have to play every single night. How much load he's going to have to carry. I don't love the front court defensive construction, or the backcourt defensive construction when this team is starting its preferred starting lineup. But these are all things we're going to see and figure out whether we're right or wrong, or maybe Kyrie might just be perfect the rest of the year. He might, maybe he just plays 40 games every single game from here on out. There's a lot of options here. But I absolutely think this is still a very good basketball team. I've never wavered on that. Even when Bobby looked over at me and he's like, "You sure?"
Yeah, no, on the trade deadline show, you like 5 hours ago or whatever, you said they're going to be a top 3 team, or that you believe they're a top 3 team. And I was like, dude.
Yeah, at worst.
I don't know, man. I mean, it's still going to be tough for them to not be in the play-in. Like, it's going to be tough for them to be top 6. Because you're going to have to leapfrog some teams and win a lot. But I mean,
okay. I didn't say they're going to finish.
No. That's not what I thought you said. But like,
okay.
I think that it's almost like no matter how good you are, which I think in a playoff series, I think this team is going to be a pain in the butt to eliminate.
Yeah.
But no matter how good you are, they face a really tough road just to get to the playoffs. And I just hope, mostly Kyrie and AD, but clearly Lively, and right now Daniel Gafford. Like, these guys need to stay healthy. They have to stay healthy because this team's getting up there, and this team's depth is really being put to the test right now.
They put themselves in a very vulnerable position with what they've decided to go as far as the route that they've chosen to try and win this championship is going to. Wow, that is.
Oh my God,
that is. For those who are listening to this show,
Joe Hoyt,
it's a picture,
or just very confused, which I would understand.
Yeah, that guy works here. That guy works here.
Well, you put it up there, and it's just like, oh, there's Joe. You're right. Joe crushing a 45-ounce IPA.
Oh my
on
goodness
Bourbon
gracious!
Street. Shout out to our Cowboys crews hanging out there because my gosh, Bourbon Street has been kicking their ass, but they're kicking back.
I can drink about 8 ounces of an IPA until I'm like, okay, I'm good. No more for me.
Joe looked like he needed about a day and a half to finish that because, my gosh. Let's take our next break here on the DLS Mavs postgame show. When we come back, our guy Mark Stein is live in studio. Somebody finally let him out the house trade deadline, and he's going to be here to help us wrap it up and talk about the high points and everything else. Has been a wild NBA trade deadline. All that and more coming up next year on the DLS Mavs postgame show.
But first, we still got almost 500 people hanging out with us on this fine Thursday night. Woo! And man, it's been a really tough week in Mavs land as far as everything that's gone on off the floor and sometimes even on the floor. But we've been able to reach a new audience here, and a lot of new people are finding our channel, and I think that's great. You know, our channel's growing. We're about to get to 16,000 subs already, which is just unbelievable. We were at less than 15,000 last week. We were at less than 14,000 not long before that. So, you know, we've really been growing here, so thank you to every single person that's hanging out in chat. That if you've subbed to the channel, you've liked the stream, you commented, whether you agree with us or disagree with us, or whether you like me or love Tim or can't stand Jesse Holley. I think Jesse Holley's a really cool guy, actually.
Hung out with us at Cosm
He just
tonight,
sees
too.
basketball a little differently maybe than some of us, but thank you for hanging out and for supporting what we do here at DLS Sports. If you want to take your sport one step further, you scan the QR code right down there or click the link in the description below. Go to alldls.com/diehard. Right now we're running a combo special because we got a few things going on. But anyway, it's $4 a month to become a diehard right now. When you become a diehard, you get a free shirt. When you sign up, we got more than 30 to choose from. You can choose your favorite one. You get it for free. You get a discount on any other stuff you want, including hoodies and mugs and cups and flags, etc. You also get to read the entire website, all the paywalled written content, including a lot of reporting from Tim about the Luka trade, about the Mavs front office, Nico Harrison. We got more stuff coming out tomorrow and a whole lot more on the way in the future too that you're definitely going to want to read. And also coverage of the Cowboys and the Stars and the Rangers as well. You also get to join the DLS Discord. You get a discount on live events like the thing we did at Cosm. We got a golf tournament coming up in April, and we're going to start doing a lot more, I think, kind of like impromptu, smaller stuff that I'm really excited about as well. So be on the lookout for announcements about that. But anyway, no matter how you choose to support us, thank you so much, and let's get back to business.
Appreciate all of you joining us here on the DLS Mavs postgame show. Please give our video a like. You can also comment as well. Appreciate all of your kind words hanging out with us here on the shows. The Mavericks get it done 127-120 on the road over the Boston Celtics. It's going to be an interesting next couple of days as the Mavericks come home after their season-long 5-game road trip. They welcome in the Houston Rockets on Saturday afternoon. We're going to be dialing up the Stein line here in just a moment. I do want to read this because we just mentioned that the Mavericks are coming back home on Saturday to take on the Houston Rockets. And Klay Thompson, who had a big night tonight, scoring 23 of his 25 points in the first half, spoke after tonight's game, this coming courtesy of Mike Curtis of the Dallas Morning News, who's live on the scene there. Klay Thompson on what he's expecting in Saturday's game versus Houston, the first game at home since the Luka Doncic trade. Klay Thompson saying, quote, probably a lot of heartbreak amongst the fans, probably some boos. As a professional, you have to embrace everything and remember we're paid to play this game and perform at the highest level. I don't know what to expect. I know Luka was dear to every Mavs fan's heart, but we just gotta win and do it on a consistent basis and give ourselves a chance to win the whole thing. I think it'll alleviate all the fans' pain and anger. It's going to be weird, but that's what we signed up for, end quote.
Klay was on the Warriors whenever the fans booed Joe Lacob after he traded Monte Ellis for Andrew Bogut. Now, I'm not comparing that trade to this one. Please don't think I am. But Klay does know what it's like to, play for a team that's going through some stuff,
And yet another example of a player understanding the situation and the gravity of it versus its front office personnel who decided to make this trade. And that is one thing I have appreciated from these players who have spoken on, whether it was Kyrie Irving, Spencer Dinwiddie, and now Klay Thompson. They understand what Luka Doncic meant to this franchise and are empathizing with the fans who are obviously not thrilled that he is no longer with this team. That transitions.
El Patel, don't clip that. That's out of context, buddy. That's out of context, El Patel.
Oh, God, what did you say?
Comparing Monte to Luka.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
That part, okay.
Do love Monte Ellis. Though.
Watch it
I'm
in
a Monte
context.
Ellis enjoyer.
Watch it in
Wondering if I
context.
missed like a... Nah, never mind.
And look what you did. You got Charlie Saturday all upset.
Shout out to Charlie. He's been hanging out with us here, here
that
tonight
was a
as
tough
well. But as you can see to my far right, look at that guy over there. That guy, yeah, Mark Stein, our National NBA insider. The NBA trade deadline finally let him out the house, and he is here live in studio with us. Before we get to any of the specifics of what has gone down and what has been a historic NBA trade deadline, how are you feeling? You good? You out the house? What has the last 4 or 5 days been like for you?
Like I said, I do not want to complain 1 ounce because Mavs fans, so many people in this city are like really upset and sad and going through a gauntlet of emotions. It's work. It's what I signed up for, like Klay said. It's the way it, we know it's coming every year. I mean, this, I will say that
It's like you're taking a picture of it.
Tanner making me nervous here. I mean, look, this is my 32nd trade deadline. I've never seen one like it. And we know that the Luka deal happened shortly after midnight Eastern time on Saturday, so it wasn't long before it was midnight here. I didn't go to sleep until Monday. I wrote my first 2 stories on this trade Sunday in the middle of everything. What made it challenging is that it was followed by an absolute avalanche of blockbusters, even though that is the trade of this deadline and the trade of this season and maybe the trade of my lifetime. Like there is, now that the deadline is passed, will really be the chance to, dig into all these moves and try to assess it. But yeah, I mean, because that happened, basically Sunday was like just working all the way through. And then honestly, tonight is the first time that I've left the house. Like getting in the car tonight to come down here for the show was the first time I've been able to leave the house. So it's been that. I mean, you guys have seen it. It's just been one major trade after another. And you thought last time, okay, the Butler deal's done, KD staying put. I mean, today there was still a lot of action, a lot of business. And I don't know that there has ever been a trade deadline like it. And because of the Luka deal, it's a trade deadline that we'll never forget for a lot of reasons that aren't the funnest, if that's a word. But yeah, it
is now. If Mark Stein says it's a word, then it's a word to me.
It is.
It's
I mean, even the dictionary.
and again, there's like
Steinline report.
normally when the deadline passes, there is a chance to there is no exhaling right now because there have just been so many major moves. Like Jimmy Butler's saga in Miami it dominated discussion among people what I do for a living for a month, and then the Luka AD trade pushed that, like Jimmy Butler was pushed to sidebar mode, and so Jimmy Butler was still traded, but like that's a huge story that we haven't even gotten a chance to do any unpacking of. Jimmy Butler joined the Warriors tonight in LA as they're getting ready to play this game, and I mean next week the Heat and the Warriors are here, the Heat are here, then the All-Star break. I mean next week. I mean look, Saturday afternoon is AD's debut.
Mm-hmm.
Monday night, I reported today, Luka and the Lakers are targeting Monday against Utah for his Laker debut. I plan to be at that game. I'm coming straight back here because the Warriors are here with Jimmy Butler now part of their team. And then the Heat come here. So the next week is still going to be
It's insane.
An absolute whirlwind because, a fun, maybe fun is the wrong word, an important part of what I get, I've been writing about all these teams nonstop for weeks, and now to actually see all these people in person, like Eric Spoelstra, it's gonna be really interesting to see him a week from today after this Butler saga, just to see all those guys on the Heat the day after Jimmy is here, and then they're in Dallas, and we get to see them, and man, the Caleb Martin, we could do 3 segments on that. And I haven't left a whole lot of time for that. I mean, it has just been a staggering amount of stuff. And that's why there is no exhaling. There was a lot of work to be done to get to the bottom of everything we just saw.
One of my favorite tweets of the entire last 4 or 5 days came from you yesterday, Mark, where you tweeted at what was that would be 7:54 p.m. yesterday evening.
A picture from the show.
Yes, a picture from the show.
There's
podcast
a story
studio.
behind that. Do you guys know the story behind that? Does Tanner have the tweet?
I have it pulled up right here. Since 12 a.m. Eastern Standard Time Sunday, Jimmy Butler to the Warriors, Andrew Wiggins to the Heat, Kyle Kuzma to the Bucks, Chris Middleton to the Shadow Realm in Washington with the Wizards. You didn't put that part, but I have to put that in there. De'Aaron Fox to the Spurs, Zach LaVine to the Kings. Hello, reunion, DeMar DeRozan. Anthony Davis to the Mavericks, and, of course, Luka Doncic to the Lakers. Hashtag this league. And you are you going through it, completely going through it. And I thought the tweet was just hilarious because I think it encapsulated kind of the feelings that everyone has had over the last 4 or 5 days. My gosh.
I don't even remember what made me react like that on that. It was early in the season.
Probably some Cato said.
And it was probably, that's a good guess.
Or a GM Ben super chat.
It was actually our pal Nick Van Exit from Locked On Mavs.
Who?
He screen capped.
I was joking.
He screen capped that and tweeted it. And I saved the picture, never thinking I was saving it for the right occasion, but I mean,
that was the perfect one.
That's the perfect one.
I mean, never, ever thought. I mean, I've been talking about this and thinking about it. Nothing else since 12 a.m. Eastern on Sunday, and I still don't believe it. I still cannot fathom that the Mavericks of Dallas traded Luka Doncic. I don't know what will make it sink in, and maybe seeing these guys play with their new teams. But I mean, again, there's a press conference here tomorrow with Anthony Davis's formal introduction as a Maverick. Man,
can I ask you to look into the future a little bit?
sure, I'll try. I don't know that I have much. I don't know how accurate my crystal ball is right now, but
So we're well into the era of player movement. Stars change teams a lot in the NBA now. I mean, really good players change teams, but stars change teams a lot. Add to that a lot of financial concerns where teams are trying to move money around a lot to avoid different rules and ramifications. Is this going to be the trade deadline every year, or do you think this was just like a once in a lifetime, a planetary?
it's really
thing where they all line
hard
up?
to draw those conclusions. Now, one thing I
that's
would
aligning.
say, I would say this, what the Mavs did last trade deadline by taking the big swings for PJ and Gafford, and not too far before that, Boston went after Derek White. That did raise the question among teams. Will we start seeing teams take bigger swings at the deadline? Because there's always been this discussion in the NBA that a midseason trade is not going to lead to a championship. So don't do it. Don't make your big change in February because, again, I started covering this league literally 10 days before the trade deadline in 1994. That was my introduction to the NBA. And that trade deadline is the only one that I can put on the level of this one because I was a kid. I was the youngest traveling beat writer in the league, in way over my head. 10 days into my career as a Clippers beat writer, the Clippers traded Danny Manning for Dominique Wilkins, which at the time was by far the biggest trade in Clippers history. And the Hawks were leading the East.
Oh, my God.
That's right.
They were leading the East. And, when you think about it, there are some parallels because Dominique Wilkins was the most popular Hawk. He was the Atlanta Hawks. They had the best team that they had maybe ever. It looked like that course. And they traded Dominique for Danny Manning.
Some Hawks fans still haven't forgiven that organization for that trade.
Why would they do that? Why did they do that?
They thought Danny Manning would be a better fit for their playoff aspirations.
Wow.
And I was a kid. That was a monster move in a completely different era with no Twitter, no internet, no cell phones, it was just a different world. So that deadline for me, I will always have that right there with this one that, would be the most unforgettable deadlines of my life. But again, it's hard to, we saw so much action at this deadline that we need more time to make sense of it. But I was going back to the point that that's when my NBA lifetime I was a NBA diehard fan throughout the 80s. I am a child of the 80s, and I was a massive fan of the 80s. But in my 30 plus years of actually following this from close reporter range, in 95, the Rockets, as defending champions, traded for Clyde Drexler. They won the title as a 6th seed. But again, they were defending champions. Michael Jordan had just come back in is that right? He came back for the end of the 95 season. Again, the Rockets were defending champs and added Clyde Drexler to the defending champs. So that worked. That led to a championship. Rasheed Wallace in 2004. That was a Detroit team a super stacked team with a really good group. They added Rasheed Wallace. They won the championship. Marc Gasol was added to the Raptors in 2019 at the deadline, a Raptors team that had just added Kawhi Leonard at the start of that season. That team won the championship. And that's pretty much the list of in-season trades leading to titles. But then Derek White almost led to an immediate title. PJ Washington and Daniel Gafford did help the Mavericks get to the finals. So there was a wonder, there has been, musing among teams. Would we see more action? I don't really think, though, that any of that was the impetus for what we saw. There are so many teams in different places, so many different motivations for trade. But again, you still have to put the Luka deal in a separate category all unto itself, not just because Luka is a 5 straight times all NBA first team guy, not just because he's only 25, not just because, as I will continue to say, on his worst day, he is the 2nd or 3rd best player in this league, but he didn't ask out. He did not push for this. That's what makes this so different. And we know Jimmy Butler badly wanted out. If you want to talk about other big trades at this deadline, Chris Middleton, that's a situation where the Bucks are trying to give some more shelf life to their championship core. They didn't want to trade Chris Middleton. We know Giannis loves Chris Middleton.
Tough one, man.
But they felt like out of desperation, they had to trade Chris Middleton, who's struggling to recover from injury, to replace him with a younger Kyle Kuzma. So it's hard, just at first glance, you can't look at all these moves and quickly find a through line, but I guess your question is the right one to ask. It's the one that front offices around this league are asking. And now that the dust has settled, because like I said, from Saturday, 12 a.m. Eastern till that buzzer sounded was unlike anything I've ever seen. So now is the time that teams can step back and try to find those through lines, those trends, those where we goes. But I will say this, it has been trending this way for a long time in the league. Free agents, you don't see free agents. The big moves are not made in free agency anymore. Paul George going to Philly into Philly's cap space, that is the rarity now. Top players extend and top players get traded when they want to move. Almost every top player, like I said, Paul George, that was such an extreme example for him to go to free agency as a reigning all-star, as an unrestricted free agent. You just don't see it. Almost everyone extends, and then to change teams, you got to trades. You got to make trades.
I'll say this as we get ready to close here, because as we've looked at all the moves that have been made in this trade deadline, obviously people will grade winners and losers. We'll get to a couple of the other super chats as well here in just a moment.
We got a Joe tweet.
A what?
A Joe Hoyt tweet.
Oh, we got one?
He found a horse.
Oh, great. So he's going to talk to a horse. Of all the trades that have been made and all the names that have been moved in this trade deadline, I feel like, and y'all can either crush me or agree or whatever, I feel like only two teams actually definitively got better in the trades that they made. And it's the two teams that made the trade with each other, the Mavericks and the Lakers. I look at what Jimmy Butler going from Miami to Golden State. I don't know if that moves the needle. Zach LaVine going from Chicago to Sacramento. I don't know how much that moves the needle for them. Obviously, Chris Middleton and others going to Washington. I don't know if there was a move that was made this deadline that appreciably made a team better than.
I'm going to have to respectfully disagree.
What would be the other one?
First of all, San Antonio getting Fox.
And I would say that would probably be the only other one.
For the very limited return
Yeah.
is huge for San Antonio, not just because Fox helps them in the short term and raises their ceiling in the short term, but because they retain so many assets to keep building their team.
Namely Stephon Castle,
The
too.
Lakers, even if the Mavericks end up having a better season this season, I mean, I don't even know if I should talk about it because I just don't want to get everybody upset. But it's like, if you're asking me to analyze this and as an objective analyst looking at the whole league,
Be subjective and sympathetic.
The Lakers, it's dreamland for them. A week ago, they had LeBron James turning back the clock, but playing at 40 years old, and AD in his 30s, and they now have a long-term future that they couldn't even have imagined. If we move to Butler, I do think Jimmy Butler is going to help Golden State. Now, you guys know I'm a Jimmy believer. Jimmy Butler has there are a lot of naysayers, and certainly with everything that's happened in Miami, there's a longer list of naysayers, but I just think he is going to go to the Come on, Tim.
Shout out to you, Tim. You're right, because Washington they got better because they literally can't get any worse.
We all expect Luka.
Tim with a correct opinion.
Oh, wow.
Oh, you like that?
Likely thing to happen.
I like that.
We all expect Luka to come out with a vengeance after this trade, but I say the same about Jimmy Butler. I think he has a ton to prove, and he is going to join the Warriors with an absolute edge, and I don't exactly know how it's all going to go on the court, but you've heard Draymond say it, you heard Jimmy say it tonight. They know how to win. You might not like them as personalities, but these guys, they find a way to win, and I think he's going to bring an edge to Golden State that is going to help them. I know this is also not a popular opinion in Mavs land, because Kyle Kuzma, after turning down the chance to be traded here, is not exactly the most popular player in this town. But I think he going to Milwaukee as a number I like Chris Middleton a ton too. Injuries just don't let Chris Middleton have the role that he had when he was such a huge part of Milwaukee's title team. I think Kyle Kuzma is going to give Milwaukee a boost, and Cleveland today in the big move of the day.
DeAndre Hunter, yeah.
That was really interesting because the Cavs are 41-10, and all the noise about the Cavs for weeks has been things are going so well they can't make a trade. Karis LeVert and Kenny Atkinson go back to Brooklyn. They can't make a trade. So they clearly believe that they have a shot to win the East and get to the finals because that's a pretty aggressive move to make that trade for DeAndre Hunter. So I'm not saying I'm absolutely right and you're absolutely wrong, but again, there's so much. We need to take a big step back and then a big, careful look at what all has happened. It is hard to assess all this stuff, and I say that while saying to everybody, if they don't want to hear me say another word about other teams, I totally get it too, because even though I've covered all these other trades, I've not for 1 second stopped thinking about the one that happened here, because again, I still cannot process it, cannot believe it.
Historic trade deadline in the books, as we have seen a number of players change teams, a number of big names change teams as well. Let's get to Andre Miller. Fantastic.
You think it's that one?
He was a fantastic
so.
point guard.
Professor,
You think it's that, Andre?
The professor's in the chat.
Scored 50 against the Mavs
I was
one time.
about to say that,
That was
yeah.
a tough night for me.
Didn't he hit 2? You were there, Tanner?
How old
Wow.
were you?
Now Tanner is denying.
I was a
Tanner is
freshman in college, so
backtracking.
that would have been fall of 09 or spring of 2010, whenever that happened.
Yeah.
I was a freshman in college. I watched that. I had 3 roommates that year, and we were all dumbfounded, awestruck by what happened.
Andre Miller was a terrific guard at Utah. I remember him bursting on the scene at Utah, and I was just like, that cat could play. And he was really, really good for a long time. Had some really good years with the Denver Nuggets as well. With the $5 super chat, maybe that Andre Miller or just another one. No disrespect. A Lakers fan here who will be watching and cheering for the Mavs too. Oh, that's sweet. Thank you. I'm loving the embrace of Max Christie.
Heck yeah.
I knew you guys would see his value. Yeah, the young man has come in here and played extremely solid basketball in his first 2 games as a Maverick, and played with some real poise for the 21-year-old. And he's doing a lot of good things that I think Mavericks fans. I think he will quickly become a fan favorite of the Mavericks fans.
Oscar, if you really are getting a Max Christie jersey, send us a picture so we can throw it up on the screen. We want to see that when you get one.
Let's get to Billy with the $5 super chat. If the Mavs go after another player in free agency, do you think it will be a big name, KD, Giannis, or a smaller name like Cam Johnson? Trey Murphy just signed a big deal with the Hornets, I believe.
Trey Murphy is unbelievable.
Yeah, he's fantastic.
Oh my God, he's so good.
It's more realistic. That cat creates rain every time.
Dude, it's he's just straight up.
Yeah.
Like he was kind of just chilling for a couple years, and then now he's getting 30 like it's nothing.
Yeah, he's really good.
Yeah, Mark, is it big fish hunting season again around here this summer, or what should fans expect? Is it too early to tell?
I don't have a thorough forecast on that yet. I mean, look, there's not cap space, so it's everybody's talking about free agency. Again, it's gonna have to be trades. I can tell you right now, the Pelicans will not be trading Trey Murphy. I mean, it
would be cool if they did, though.
They are quite pleased with the
the
deal that they've signed him to, and so I mean, I'm gonna need. I don't want to start ruling players out when I haven't asked. I mean, it's been such a whirlwind. Again, there was a huge chunk of deadline day was spent, putting all the pieces together on the new Caleb Martin trade. So it's that's the thing. There's just still so much happening in real time. I know everybody wants to know today what's going to happen in July, but I'm putting my hand up and saying that instead of guessing, I'd rather know things before I say them.
Sound to me like you said it's KD or LeBron, but that's just me.
That's not.
Is that what you want? How about what you want?
What I want.
Do you want?
It's not about what we want. It's clearly about what Nico Harrison wants.
Yeah, Bobby, that's true.
It's clearly about what that cat
Bobby
wants.
wants to go back to Friday.
Friday night was a great time in my life.
Be good.
This was a great time in my life.
I don't want to do the deadline over again, but you know what? You make a compelling case.
Friday was awesome. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I'm not really sure what I want, to be honest, because what I want and what has happened have
All right,
never
so let's
been
do
more
something else.
disparate.
What's Saturday going to be like?
Oh boy,
I do think that tonight helps the cause a little bit, as far as just giving people a reason to think like maybe this is going to be okay, relatively speaking. But yeah, I'm expecting some.
It's gonna be a weird day.
Yeah, I mean, so we're planning on starting our pregame show early that day. My plan is to be near the protest and report what I see and hear from out there. I'm gonna try and do a live remote. Our first on the scene. I might need to take a helmet with me or something. I don't know. I need to make it clear I'm press, but I want to be out there and see what's going on.
Do you have a DLS mic flag?
Not yet. I have my cell phone and some earphones things. What do you call them? Headphones?
Headphones,
with the thingy.
Yeah, Bobby's going to be on the scene for us on Saturday afternoon.
And Tim will be inside the arena.
Yeah, so we will have it covered from all angles when it comes to Saturday. The game itself will start at 2:00, but I could imagine all morning and up to the start time of that game.
I'm nervous. I'm nervous.
Let's just say tension. The tension will be you'll be able to cut it with a knife. It'll be that thick. On Saturday.
I'm really nervous. I just hope. I want everybody to be able to have a voice. You got something to say it. But just don't do. Just I hope no one does anything dumb. That's all I want to say. Just don't do anything dumb.
We appreciate all of you joining us here on the DLS Mass post-game show as the Mavericks get it done 127-120 over the Boston Celtics. Klay Thompson's big first half leads the Mavericks beat down in Beantown tonight. As Bobby mentioned, we will have our pregame show ahead of the game on Saturday at 2:00. We are off tomorrow, mercifully. We are off tomorrow, but we'll be back on Saturday with you.
Not me.
Well, I guess we're kind of not off. Anthony Davis has his introductory press conference. Will Max Christie get one too? Will he be right there, I guess, next to him?
I believe all the new.
Okay.
Max Christie's game did the talking. I hope
yeah,
he
Max
gets
Christie's
the day
played
off.
2 games, and he's going to get an
I hope he
introductory
gets
press
the day
conference
off.
tomorrow. So
I need to be there at the press conference. Say, Max, remember that awesome game you had?
Right, exactly.
What are your thoughts? You rock. What are your thoughts?
So while we will not be on air, we will continue to work because that's
Cato's Corner.
that's what we do for you because we appreciate and love all of you. That'll do it for us here on the Dlls Mass Postgame Show. Thank you to Tanner, who makes us look good, sound good, as always. Appreciate you, sir. For our National NBA Insider, Mark Stein, that is our Mavericks analyst, Bobby Curl. That is our hardworking Mavericks beat writer, Tim Cato. I'm your host, Kevin
Come from
Gray.
him in the morning. Stay tuned.
We are DLS Mavs. We will talk to you on Saturday right here on DLS Sports. Y'all have a good weekend. We'll talk to you later. Peace.
We all silly like the mayor.